Hi and welcome to 5 Minutes Funnier, the comedy how-to. I'm your host, Jimmy England. Now this is something of an extra episode and it's a little different because it's a kind of a combination of 5 Minutes Funnier and my podcast, Back to the Balcony. If I'm perfectly honest, it's more Back to the Balcony because we're going to play an episode for you at the end of this. And the reason I'm doing that is twofold. One is that it's about the Adam Sandler movie, Funny People. Actually a pretty good movie, to be honest with you. But more importantly, we had 4 guests on who are all comedians of various levels, including professionals, having this discussion first about the movie, but then as it goes on, it digresses into the business per se, and you get some perspectives you don't normally get from people who have had a lot of experience. Our guests that day included Patrick Coppolino. Patrick has toured with Tom Green and a lot of other comedians. He's opened for Gilbert Gottfried. He's the owner and manager of the Levity Comedy Club here in Hamilton, Ontario. It's one of the premier comedy clubs in Southern Ontario. We also had Manolis Zontanos. Manolis has been doing and supporting himself in comedy for over 30 years. He's extremely talented. He's toured across Canada. I remember hosting my very first show and he came up to me afterwards and gave me so much helpful advice that transformed the way I do my hosting now going forward. I owe that to him. He's been great. Our guest engineer that day was Christian Reimer, who's been doing stand-up and improv. He's been over at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and just done comedy all over the place as well. So highly recommend him and myself, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. As we went on, we began to talk about the stand-up business. And a lot of things came out that are very helpful if you're a comedian. Things about how bookers book, how you're perceived as a comedian, how things work. And I think there's enough stuff here that it's worth you giving a listen to. Now, this is an audio podcast, so you're going to see the Back to the Balcony logo, and that's pretty much it. And that's okay. You can play this while you're walking around, while you're driving, whatever you're doing. But I do think it's something that you should give a listen to, not just because it's me blathering on like I always do. It's about some people who really know the business as much or more than I do, and they're going to give you some insights you're going to find very useful. So here we go. Back to the Balcony.
This is my Poppy's podcast. He likes to talk about movies from the 20th century. That's like 1,000,000 years ago. He knows a lot, but his friends must know even more, because they're always telling him he's wrong. But he's funny and interesting and a good Poppy, even if he doesn't know what a spoiler is. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to Back to the Balcony, a second look at movies and culture from a classic century. I'm your host, Jimmy England, and I'm joined by guest engineer Christian Reimer, who's filling in for Phil as he studies his little brain out for that final upcoming exam in his quest towards bigger and better things than this podcast. I'm joined by comedians Patrick Coppolino and Manolis Zontanos, which means every person working on this episode this morning is a comedian. Thanks, everybody, for doing this today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can tell these are professionals because they don't nod. They actually speak into the microphone.
I did both.
Now, this was supposed to be a comparison of 2 movies comedians should watch, but I watched 2009's Funny People, which was Patrick's choice, and went, hang on, this would be a great chance to talk about the movie and the business as well. So we're putting off Manolis' choice, which, in case you were interested, was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And we're going to talk about Funny People today. Now, you brought this to us, Patrick. Did you see it when it was first released?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater.
You did? What did you think?
I loved it.
Why?
It came out when I was new-ish to stand-up, so obviously I was like super interested in it, but it also wasn't what I thought it was. It's kind of like 2 different movies in one movie. Like it shifts gears in the second half.
Thank you for that, yeah.
Yeah, so I found it really interesting, and it was obviously funny, but it was also like a drama too, so I liked it.
How about you, Manolis? Did you see it?
Yeah,
I assume that if he saw it, you went with him. That's just how
we
you
do
two
everything
are joined at the
together.
hip.
No, I forget where I saw it. I like it, but when you're a comedian and you watch it, it's a little different because
That's what I'm hoping to hear today.
it's almost at times like hard to watch and sad to watch. It's touching on things that Judd Apatow does a really good job of bringing it to what's really going on. For someone that's not a comedian to watch it, I think that could be like one of the closest ways of seeing what that world's like.
It's a good reflection of what we go through.
I'd have to watch it again now, but for the most part, yeah. Sometimes there's a friendship and a relationship between like an upcoming comic and a famous comedian. That's a real thing. Can you imagine if you're just an upcoming actor, but you're also hanging out with Brad Pitt? that never happens. You know what I mean? You could be like living on the poverty line, but have Russell Peters' cell number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On his angle, from the other end of like someone like, say, Russell Peters or whoever it is, it's not crazy for him too to have contact with these people that are like so far below him in the sense of where they're at, like financially, or like their level of like famous.
Yeah. Because you are right. There is a big gap between somebody like an Adam Sandler, or who did you go see recently, Patrick?
Yesterday?
They don't get much more recently than yesterday, Patrick.
Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah. And he had a big audience?
Yeah, huge. 20,000 people.
That's a different level of comedy than myself or Christian or even you guys, I guess, generally showing up for a show and you get a good audience and it's 200 people.
If you ran into him and you just said like, yo, dude, I'm a comic. I'm buddies with Ari Shaffir. And he'd be like, oh, so cool. What's your name? And like it's like you just threw like a name that a famous person that he knows. You know him, and you're calling, and they'd be like, oh, what's going on? It's just a couple comics talking to each other.
Yeah, it's funny because that's the one thing I've noticed is that you need to prove yourself. You can't just go in and say, I am a comic. But if you go up there and you show that you can do halfway decent, it just opens doors to everybody. Everybody goes, okay, this guy is not just blowing smoke. He knows what he's doing on stage.
Yeah, it legitimizes you. Kind of like what he's saying. Like, especially established comics will have seen countless guys that say they're comedians. If they just randomly met Manolis in LA and they didn't know who he was, and he's like, I'm a comic, and they're like, yeah, sure you are. And then if he names a few people he knows that they're mutual friends with. But then the thing that really seals it, like no matter what level you're at, like if they watch Manolis on stage and he kills, you're in now. You know what I mean?
And they're like, oh, you're funny.
You don't need
you might not be at my level up here, but you're a comer.
Yeah.
Well, you can be like a famous comedian and a non-famous comedian. The level of laughter when you're killing is the same as the level of laughter as your famous comedian. Like it's the same. I just want to say, Dan, what's the guy from Halifax? Dan Hendricken.
Yeah.
So one time he told me, he's like, hey man, I did this. I just want to say sorry. There was some sort of thing going on. It was fenced, and he's like outside. He's like, Russell, it's Manolis. And so finally, Russell walks over like 30 feet to where he was and comes up to the fence because he thinks that's me. And he's probably getting ready to, hey, why don't you come on in or something? And Dan goes, hey, man, I'm really sorry. I just know Manolis, and I knew you'd come over if I said Manolis, and I really wanted to meet you.
I should have mentioned that you do know Russell Peters. You guys were together in the bad old days, so to speak.
I would say we're friends.
Christian, did you ever see the movie?
Funny People? I see them every day.
No, I asked about the movie.
Oh.
It's a rather ironic title at the end of the day.
I think that's what threw people off. I think comics enjoyed it, but the general public went to see a movie called Funny People, starring Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen and stuff, Aziz Ansari. And then when it became more of a drama, I think people were like, that wasn't a very funny movie.
Yeah.
Are you all Adam Sandler fans? I should ask that off the bat.
Yeah, I grew up with his movies and stuff. I don't like all of them, but I'd say I'm a fan, yeah.
I would say I'm a fan. He had a great run, and he still does good stuff. It was like hanging out with Adam Sandler's a personal assistant.
Yeah.
And she was an amateur comic in L.A. Right. And I was like picking her ear. I'm like, what is he doing? Why does he put out some of these movies that are just like so shit? The content, it's just not that good. And she told me that he loves being busy. Apparently when he's making, this is what she told me, I think is true. Apparently when he makes a movie, he's already trying to get the next movie all lined up.
So he's got one project to go.
He's going from one movie to the next. He loves to be busy.
And you, Christian, are you a fan?
I am a fan of Adam Sandler. In fact, I've grown with him. I really enjoy his dramatic work now.
It's funny you say that because I came into this movie not an Adam Sandler fan, and I think it's because of the movies that you don't like. And that's everything I ever saw. I equated that's what it was going to be. And him as a dramatic actor was a revelation.
Most comedians are capable of doing that for some reason, I think. Like true comedians, there's such a connection to this sad clown. We're all like come from some type of brokenness. And
I agree with that. That is prevailing opinion. Although I find for myself, I don't think I am, because who I am on stage is kind of who I am when I'm not on stage as well. And I think for a lot of other comedians, Yourself is probably the best example I can think of. You go on stage and you are a different person than you are in real life. You come across as somewhat insensitive on stage, but in reality,
I guess
you're almost human. I am really impressed with you.
I don't need more friends. Pat, when you call me, what do I say?
What's wrong?
Yeah.
He answers the phone. What's wrong? Why are you calling me?
I say that to like probably 90% of the people that call me. If they call me, I'm like, what's wrong? I'm that guy. You got a problem? I'm the guy you call. You want to talk about something? I'm the guy to call. You're dealing with some sort of situation where it has to deal with the law? Yeah, I'm the guy you call, you know?
Yeah, not your lawyer. Manolis, then your lawyer.
Well, I'll definitely get your number before you leave today, just in case. Is Sandler's appeal kind of generational, though? Does he appeal just to a narrow part of the zeitgeist out there?
I don't think so. My daughter's 12 and she started getting into his movies.
Right.
And like she likes him. And like obviously people my age like them. And
because comedians generally, this is 74 years of experience talking, I've seen comedy change from lounge acts back in the 50s and early 60s into the countercultural stuff that they did and into comedy clubs into the 70s and late 70s and into the 80s. And we all seem to have something that will appeal to us particularly. Again, for me, the big thing would have been the countercultural, the Cheech and Chongs, the Smothers Brothers. They were speaking to a different audience, which isn't to say they can't appeal to other people.
I think everybody likes Adam Sandler in a way. When he's on screen, no matter whatever I see him, no matter what he's doing, there's something about I don't know what it is. He's got that thing. I don't even think it's like it's a star thing. There's something about him. He just really.
I didn't care for him his comedy so much, although I did appreciate what he was doing on stage, and that's different than liking it. But it doesn't mean it's any less valid.
I thought the same thing about his older stuff he didn't really have many specials or anything, but his older clips I didn't really. He's kind of that timid character that he plays on stage, but his newer stuff. Did you watch his newest Netflix one?
No. I watched a bit of it. Like
I really enjoyed that.
I think I think he's fallen into what's behind the curtain. There's no curtain no more.
Yeah. Well, it was like orchestrated chaos. A lot of the things that were going wrong in that special, I think, was all planned.
Oh, okay.
I don't think the audience was in on it, but everyone else was.
I enjoyed that. You mentioned that, but it seemed also very matured. Right? Like Adam Sandler, goofy, a lot of, sounds and his guitar. Those things did annoy me as a stand-up. But to see him now is like, oh, this is who you are.
Yeah.
You never really hear anything bad about the guy if you think about it.
A lot of critics kind of look down their nose at him because he has made a lot of dumb movies. But hey, you know what? If they brought the people in and that's what the people want, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with them.
The audience is always right.
Well, that's the thing about comedy. I see comedians out there who do stuff and the audience isn't getting it. And they'll laugh at something and the comedian doesn't pick up on the fact that that's what they find funny about you. Not the fact that you want to have a political discussion on stage.
Like, who are those two losers that review movies? Siskel and Ebert.
Careful, I love Ebert.
At the end of the day, like, I don't care what you think.
Ebert always gave a thoughtful response to what he thought. He did champion some movies that people didn't like, and he wasn't above going back and looking at a movie a second time later on in life and saying, no, I was wrong about this movie, which is a good thing.
With Tom Green, didn't they?
Yeah, they did that with Freddy Got Fingered. They gave it like thumbs down, worst movie ever made, blah blah blah, and then like a few years later they were like, oh, we were wrong. It was
well, and I think it's because all of a sudden this is what humor looks like today.
Yeah.
Dude,
they did that to Jim Carrey too. They did that for The Mask, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
two
love
thumbs
The Mask.
down. Either or that or Ace Ventura, I can't.
Napoleon Dynamite was one that Ebert hated. And
No.
You watch it, it is a different kind of a movie. And I can understand why he didn't like it. And I found it very quirky. I didn't find it funny. I found it quirky, and I rather enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But you had to recognize what they were trying to do and what they were trying to accomplish, and that wasn't what he was looking for. Anyways, let's get into the movie a little deeper. It was directed by Judd Apatow, who was really the John Hughes of his generation. He's written, produced, and directed so much stuff. He also wrote this. And it stars Adam Sandler, Seth Rogen, Eric Bana, Jonah Hill, Jason Schwartzman, Aubrey Plaza. Did you know Aubrey Plaza had a stroke when she was 20?
No.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I love her.
She recovered. And,
I would die for her. I would
Leslie
give her
Mann,
my heart.
who got the part because she was sleeping with the director. There's also a host of comedian cameos, which may say more about Adam Sandler and Judd Apatow's circle of friends and how much they were needed for this movie. It says something about me that I recognized Eminem, but I didn't recognize Norm Macdonald in the movie.
I forgot about that scene. That scene is amazing. when Eminem freaks out on Ray Romano.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought everybody loved you, man.
And the estimated budget was $75 million. The estimated box office worldwide was 71.5, and these figures were all from IMDb. Patrick, it was your choice. Can you give the listeners a synopsis of the movie? Try and keep it brief.
Okay.
I have to lecture everybody. You know that. You've heard this from me before.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Well, long story short, Seth
It'll be a
Rogen.
change.
Seth Rogen is a amateur, like up and coming comic in LA, and they end up meeting Adam Sandler, who plays like a alternate universe version of himself in the movie. And Seth Rogen finds himself in a position to be hired by Adam Sandler to kind of go on the road with him and write for him. And I don't know, it shows a little bit behind the curtain of the insights of stand-up comedy and what happens of those groups when their careers, some of them progress. There's a lot of greed and jealousy and envy, and like the Jason Schwartzman character who's like has success on TV and kind of rubs it in their noses. And
Yeah, there's that kind of guy.
yeah. And then there's like the second half that's more like about relationships. And
I think it's also kind of like about a famous person that has it all, realizes he's going to die, and then because he realizes he's going to die, he realizes everything he has,
it means nothing.
and that means nothing, and then what he really wants is love.
Which I could see. As a matter of fact, if they hadn't done the back half of the movie the way they did, because I thought the love story at the end, that's when the movie fell apart for me. Mm-hmm. But the first half, if they could have found a way to exploit that a little bit more, I thought Sandler was giving an Oscar-worthy performance.
The one thing that is interesting, though, he gets what he wants, and then he realizes he doesn't want it.
There's a certain loneliness to the man. Is he depressed?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
insinuated, yeah.
My wife pointed it out to me.
Well, he's
Kind of like
dying.
he said, he was on top of the world at one point. Now he like lives alone. He's dying.
Like,
He was just miserable.
He seems so isolated. Mm-hmm. And for a guy who had no friends, he got together with a lot of comedians. Are comedians your friends?
Some of them. I wouldn't say. I mean, the ones.
There's only so many you're going to go help move.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that I like consider people that I actually enjoy talking to, and when I see them around, it's weird. Comedians are either amazing people, or all they want is to get famous, and they pretend they're fake. You know what I mean? Everything's fake about them. So it's like depends on which person it is.
You know, it's funny you say that, because when I was in the furniture business, I had a rep, and we'd have trade shows, and I'd go to his booth and talk to him, and, I'm going to place an order. But the whole time I'm talking to him, it was like he was looking over my shoulder to see if somebody more important was coming into the booth.
Yeah.
And I get that feeling with some comedians when I'm talking to them sometimes. You start talking to them, and they'll look at you for a minute, then they're looking away, and they're scanning the room. Okay, who else here that I should be talking to is more important than you are?
I talked to Patrice O'Neill. Luckily, I didn't realize. I just saw him.
Right.
And I'm like, this guy's amazing. So I started talking to him after a show, but I ran into him 2 more times. He never remembered me from the last time because he's, you know what I mean? But every time I talked to him, he would actually have like a in-depth conversation with me. I'm nobody. I can't do nothing for you. But he was like, oh, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It was like, He was the real deal.
We did mention earlier about comedians being good dramatic actors. Do you think you guys could be a good dramatic actor? Because I think that what hampers me is inhibitions. Because being totally honest about yourself, I have this facade of myself, and
Patrick can do anything. Just be clear about that. Like he would be a good actor, whether it was funny or serious. But Patrick is a weirdo. Like he can play guitar, he can edit, he can film, he can. If you gave him some weird sort of puzzle thing, he would figure it out within minutes.
I'm autistic, is what he's saying.
He's a
I don't think you are though.
comedic Rain Man.
You're Rain Man.
I just have a big brain.
Yeah, do you know that's a thing? That's real?
what autism or Rain Man?
Or
No,
big
like,
brain.
so like we're
I didn't know that about him. No, I knew he did a lot of stuff, but no, he's quiet.
He's quiet, but he's a genius.
No, but he's talking about we were on like the Anchor Bar patio one day. And
So he remembers exactly where we were.
my yeah,
He could tell you the temperature and what time of day
I think
it was.
I don't know if we were talking about like hats or something, and
Yeah, we're
then
talking about
everyone
hats, buying
realized
hats.
how big my head is because my hats I have to wear snapbacks, and it's always like on the last button. I don't know if you could tell just by looking at me, but like I have a big head.
For listeners at home, Patrick has
Yeah.
what seems to look like a normal cranium.
So everyone was trying on my hat. It was way bigger on everyone else. So then Manolis is like, "That's why."
I go, that's why he's smart. You got But it's because his skull's bigger. That means his brain would be bigger.
Okay. I don't know whether I want to dispel this or not, but my wife has a big head. She is smarter than me. I will grant you that. And my grandson, who's 2 years old, named after Patrick, although we're thinking of renaming him after the guy who started Yuck Yucks because it's done me absolutely no good with Patrick, also has a big head.
Yeah. Okay. Tell him the rest of the story.
We were all laughing at Manolis, like, that can't be real. Just because he has a big head doesn't mean his brain's bigger. And then he looked it up, and it turns out...
Patrick looked it up.
Oh, yeah, I looked it up because of my big brain. And yeah, apparently if you have a bigger head, you tend to have a bigger brain. But the part that's particularly bigger with people that have big brains, specifically their like problem-solving skills. I don't know what part of the brain that is, but...
Oh, wow. I feel bad about being called a pinhead now. This is really... What about the rest of the cast? That talked so much about Sandler. Does anybody else stand out?
Well, Seth Rogen, obviously, and I thought Aziz killed it in that movie.
You just had a small spot in there, yeah?
Well, he was pretty frequent. He played the Randy character.
Oh, right, yeah.
And like that plays into kind of like what Manolis is talking about, like with the like there's some people in this industry that are just fake, and like I thought he was an important character in that movie because he was like the obnoxious, he does a Randy, and he's just a crazy character, and he's like way over the top, but he was getting successful because of that, and it was kind of more smokes and mirrors than it was talent. I thought that was interesting because I think we all know people like that.
You brought up Seth Rogen. I thought his transition from being a bad comic to a good comic came rather swiftly. He had no confidence in what he was doing. Did you see something funny in what he was doing?
Well, I think the reason Adam Sandler hired him, he was a better writer than he was a performer.
Right.
Like, he couldn't do it himself, but his jokes were good, so Adam Sandler's character wanted him to write jokes.
Why would on earth would he take him to a corporate gig when he's not a good comedian, but he's a good writer?
It's interesting because that happens, though. Like, bad comics will get opening spots on good shows because they're doing something for the headliner. Like, they're giving them a drive, or they're writing for them, or...
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of opportunities happen that way for real.
This guy was driving Pauly Shore one time, and I was just doing a 20-minute spot on the show. I got the gig, and I knew who the guy was. And because he was driving it, he thought he was better than he was.
Right.
Pauly's like, oh, okay, you're going to go first, then you'll go second, and I'm like, this guy should not be going on after me. He doesn't even have 5 minutes. And he had to do 20. And what do you think happened?
This is a thing I've said out loud, which I probably shouldn't say out loud, but I've also in my head a lot of the time, is they're tone deaf to comedy, that they get out and do stuff, think they're being a hit, and they get 2 laughs in the whole 5 minutes that they're doing on stage. Is that just me, or is that true?
No. Yeah, there's a lot of
Delusional
people that get into comedy.
They could have one good set out of 100, and they think like, I've arrived.
I think maybe they're so bad that getting a couple laughs is like killing to them. So they're like,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what fuels them to keep going, unfortunately.
I learned it from Nolis about recording yourself. You see yourself. What they do you not learn anything after you look at it?
I think most comics, at least like that are just like bad forever, I don't think they do listen back.
I've seen you do shows, and you're like, oh, that was good, or like, You're honest with yourself.
I'm probably a little bit too much. I have a benchmark, and if I don't reach that benchmark, I don't think I've succeeded. Not just a laugh, but a loud enough, strong enough laugh, because I think some people will take a laugh as being, well, somebody in the back corner laughed, that joke worked.
See, I think being on stage and having that attention is just enough, whether people are laughing or not.
That's a good point.
And there's like, I think just the lifestyle around it is what people like too. Like, I think people just like being part of the community, and maybe
It becomes a lifestyle. Yeah. It's not
Subculture, I guess.
I can see that. My problem is it's always you have the most uncomfortable chairs in the clubs, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah, those chairs could be better.
They could be.
want to build us some chairs?
Breslin did say that, talking about Yuck Yucks, he said about...
Oh, yeah, and those were Yuck Yucks' chairs, by the way.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. But he said that they should be uncomfortable chairs. The audience should not be comfortable when they're sitting in the chairs. That being said, I played at Niagara Falls, and they're comfortable chairs in Niagara Falls, so I don't know what to make of that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like, the Jackson Square Cinema has, like, the most comfy theater chairs I've ever experienced.
And you're saying that's bad?
Yeah, because I fall asleep. I fall asleep every time I see a movie there.
No way.
It's too comfortable.
Yeah, those are the best movie theater seats ever.
They're the best.
I rather expected this because it is a movie that does lend itself to talking about what we do for a living. But is it a rather long movie? Does it kind of... Oh,
I liked it. People complained about how long it was. I haven't actually rewatched it in a little bit, but I get excited when I remember there's a whole other half to the movie.
I think some Judd Apatow movies could be a little shorter, but like one in particular, it's like it's so specific about what this is, like what it's all about.
Well,
I think it makes sense.
I would argue with you that no, the fact that Patrick correctly said it's like there's two movies. There's the front half and there's this back half, and I found the front half fascinating. I wanted this guy to die, to be honest with you, because he was being so.
Oh, you think?
Revealing so much there, and then he went to the other thing, which just seems like a cheesy, tacked-on thing, because hopefully we'll make some money out of it.
So, do you think if they would have just not played the love angle?
Yeah, it should have been. It was.
I thought it was a waste of time. Like I was in.
There we go.
I could go without it. Pat, you should re-edit the movie.
I've actually thought about that. Doing like
Pat, you ever see? That's why I'm back to Pat being a genius.
cut it down.
He took like Louis C.K.'s second show, what it was
Right.
called. Like he made a trailer and made it look like it was
movie.
a horror movie, and you believe it. You know, you're like, oh, I want to see this. But yeah, I would love to see you re-edit Funny People.
we'll take Jimmy's notes and we'll do.
I bet you Judd Apatow would find out
the
about
Jimmy
it.
edition.
Hey, I got a question while you're. Was Judd Apatow a stand-up comic? Like I didn't know him for stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
He's a smart cookie.
He
kinda
did do
was.
some stand-up. I read.
when he was in college or something, he had a radio show, and it was all about. He wanted to interview comedians and like directors and stuff. He was treating it like interviews, but the reason he was doing it was to get like an education from the best of the best. And he was it was like an LA university or something, so he was able to get
Was this high school?
legit.
Or was
people.
this
University.
Was it university radio?
I think it was university. Yeah.
Wow.
I
So this is
think it
before
might even have been.
college.
It might even been a high school.
Really?
Regardless, he
a
contacted their publicists, made them think it was a real radio station.
Whoa.
But he would ask them like industry questions, not just what was it like working with so and so. He would be, how do you get a movie made? How do you? He would just pick their brains.
I'm pretty sure he got Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld on it, and I forget who
Crazy.
else.
Yes.
And did this get broadcast? Was this like actually on a radio
It
station?
was on the school radio station.
I don't know if he has a recording of it.
He must have recordings.
I
of
hope
some
he
of
did.
them,
He
yeah.
had to, right?
Yeah.
Because these comedians usually get nuts and bolts questions. They don't get the depth questions of,
Yeah, he was trying to figure out basically how do you make it, and then he took all that information and he made it.
Jim Carrey, he got Jim Carrey's, I think, first agent or whatever.
Yeah,
You know about that?
he produced Jim Carrey's like that stand-up special where he's wearing that like colorful sweater.
Yeah, but you know about his like when Jim Carrey got what is either agent or manager or whatever, which was amazing because he was nobody at the time apparently,
Right.
and he told his manager or something, "Holy cow, you got to see this guy Jim Carrey at the Comedy Store." So he went to see him, and then he signed him.
He got him on like In Living Color and stuff.
Judd Apatow did this?
Judd Apatow. Well, he didn't tell his manager or whatever to sign Jim Carrey. He was just saying,
You gotta see
check-
this guy.
You gotta see this guy." Judd Apatow's very lucky, like a lucky charm for a lot of people. I think.
kidding.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't a documentary, so we can't get too wound up in the fact that they do things that are for dramatic purposes. But what do they get right and what do they get wrong about the comedy business, would you say?
Well, I think like I said before, the dynamic of friendships, because at some point people start getting different levels of success. So Jason Schwartzman character who started getting the TV roles, and then there was like some envy from his peers. The Aziz character.
You find out who your real friends are when stuff like that happens too.
Yeah, so they got those friendship dynamics correct, I think. Just like I think they did a good job of displaying how hard it is.
Where we are, it's hard. It's exponentially harder if you're getting into New York or Los Angeles into the top club. That you can go on, but you go on at 4:00 in the morning or something like that.
Right.
Because Eddie Murphy's walked in, he wants to do a half an hour, try out some new material. So it's a different ballgame.
You can be one of the funniest comedians in the world and not work. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many. Even now, like I've been doing it 25 years maybe.
Right.
I'm not even sure. Even 20 years ago, there was too many comedians.
I started a few times in the 80s. There were fewer clubs, but it was a lot easier to get on than it is today because there are so many people out there clamoring to go on stage.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing because, like I said earlier, you tell people you're a comedian and it doesn't have a particular resonance. Like if you turn around and say, yeah, I'm in a band, I think people will sit down and tell me about what do you play, all this kind of stuff. You're a comedian.
One of the problems I think too is the idea of becoming famous is something so many people are attracted to.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting you say that because you and I had a brief discussion the other night when we were together at Levity at Patrick's Club, and I was asking you about your aspirations regarding TVs and movies because that's the one thing I noticed when you do reach that upper level. By and large, it's because you are now recognized from being on a TV show or in a successful movie. Very rare that you become a great comedian who's known just purely as a great comedian. Is that true? Is that the ultimate goal for comedians?
I think that was very true until recently. I think like podcasts and Instagram and stuff has changed that a bit. Like
Podcasts, 10 years of doing this with you guys and hasn't helped any of us.
well, I think guys like all the guys Joe Rogan has helped. The Shane Gillises, the Bert Kreischers, Tom Segura's, like they've hit a level of fame.
Probably
in the 90s, you would have had to be in a movie to get to do arena tours that they're doing.
Or it might have
now,
not even happened.
Yeah, but those guys, they do some acting and stuff, but like their primary rise to fame was purely stand-up.
Joe Rogan helped a lot of people.
Is he the Johnny Carson of the new era? Because that used to be the deal. You went on the Tonight Show, and now all of a sudden you're...
Now it's Tony Hinchcliffe. Like Kill Tony is like the Tonight Show.
Still Joe, but Tony for sure is more. It'll change your life.
Yeah, it seems like Kill Tony has a larger variety of new comics.
Well,
It's the Gong Show.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing stand-up on Rogan, right? So Kill Tony, they actually get to see you do stand-up.
Right.
So if you do well on Kill Tony, then there's a good chance you can start moving tickets almost immediately. It's crazy.
Because that's the name of the game at the end of the day. It's not about how funny you are, it's how many people are going to come and see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You need to
you're
find
kind
a
of screwed if you only have 5 minutes. Yeah, if you go up there and kill for 5 minutes and all of a sudden you have this opportunity to do this tour, you don't even have 20 minutes. What do you...
Yeah.
It's interesting because you recently posted on Facebook, Patrick, about why people go to comedy clubs, and you made the point that it's not necessarily just that they bring in customers, but the club becomes known for bringing in good comics.
Yeah.
You want to just elucidate on what it was you said?
Well, especially in Canada, because we don't really have much of a star system. So, like, you have someone like Manolis who's been in it for 25 years, and he crushes.
I was going to say, he crushes. He goes on stage. Mm-hmm. I've known a lot of comics. You get out there, and you are not going to go away unhappy.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, it would be hard for him to go to, I don't know, like Winnipeg. You probably wouldn't be able to sell out, like, 5 nights.
I can sell it one night.
Yeah. So, it's going to be nice.
But you're still going to crush.
I couldn't sell...
Yeah.
I could sell it maybe one night in Hamilton once a year, like maybe my birthday show.
Yeah.
I know everybody, and it's like it means nothing.
Yeah, so it's like it's really hard to build a following, like in general, but especially in Canada, I think. So like, and this is probably true for clubs everywhere, but definitely in Canada, like the venue at least builds a reputation for always having good entertainment. Then at least that will help the comics that come through. At least people will be there because the audience knows, hey, let's go down to Levity this weekend because we went a few weeks ago. It was awesome. We didn't know any of the guys, but it was great.
Are you basing that on the fact that you begin to sell out shows repeatedly, or have you ever done any research into asking the...
Yeah, we ask the audience all the time, first of all, how many of them have been there before, how many of them are new, and then, oftentimes after the show, especially if people come up to us and they're like, oh, that was great, it was our first time here, we had a blast, and then we ask them, like, how did you find out, like, was there a reason you came? And they're like, no, we just looked up comedy in Hamilton, and we found the club, and we came down, and then, or they read the reviews, and they saw it was good, or, like, a lot of word of mouth, like, people will come. We have a decent amount of regulars now that like they show up with different people all the time because they want to expose their friends and family to it. So that's really cool.
It's definitely become a really cool, like a clubhouse hang.
Yeah.
You know, because people that even come, the regulars, they don't just come, they stay.
They all become friends with the comics and stuff.
Yeah, I think a sign of a good show and a good venue is that after the show, people want to stay and hang out.
They have drinks and...
They still want more.
Yeah, they still want more. They definitely think it's more important than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're like, you do stand up?
Oh, yeah. they don't realize that we go home sad.
Yeah.
Well, that brings... Well, you know, I get people all the time, and I say I'm a comedian. Oh, where do you perform? My basement? Where do you think? You go all over. That's how this is a transient business to a large degree.
The real trick is just to be able to do it for as long as you do. You're good enough to be famous, but you're not famous, and you don't let that dictate whether you're happy or not.
And that brings up an interesting point, because a lot of humor, and in this movie too, you have to be unhappy to be a comedian.
No, I don't think you have to be, but I think there's a little bit of. I think comedians are all like that have that same personality a little bit, where like real comedians. Not
Yes. There is a difference. There's the ones that go out and perform and go, yeah, I'm good, and the ones that go home and actually think about what they just did.
real comedians opposed to people that want to be famous. It's two different things.
But it's amazing
Yeah.
what it does for you. I had my first standing ovation about 2 months ago at a Lions Club. Starting to walk off stage, not paying attention, and it was somebody else brought it to my attention, and I had to turn around. And mostly old people. Some of them just leaned forward, but I'm coming out of the stand. I really felt good. I'm driving home, and I'm feeling great about myself.
Yeah. It's crazy how you could have a string of like killer shows in a row and then one bad one, and you're like, maybe I'm not good at this. That feeling sticks with you until your next good show.
Yeah,
like you doubt yourself. You could kill 100 times in a row.
You're like,
and then
I have
bomb.
nothing. These jokes are garbage.
Yeah.
All your life choices have led up to this moment.
Yeah.
I have those moments in the last year in particular where that thing happens, and I go, well, do I really want to do this anymore? And then I go, well, what if I don't do this? What do I do? I don't golf. I don't do anything else. I'm not to go out to the clubs all the time, but I need that time on that stage. I need to be in front of an audience. It's life.
I really just like doing stand. I like making people laugh, and I like hearing the laughter.
Yeah, it's great.
There's something really.
It's a lot. It's love every time. You
Yeah.
hear it. I noticed that the roommates that Seth Rogen has. As a matter of fact, there seems to be throughout the movie a great deal of immaturity. Is that generally true about comedians? This is a difficult question because we got 4 comedians in here, and
Well, you saw what. Look at what Bob left. What was he?
Bob Kerr, another
left.
comedian friend
See,
of ours.
you saw what I did to him.
Yeah.
That's it. And we just act like idiots towards each other.
Yeah, we're all children. Like on the road,
Right?
Yeah.
that's when we're the most immature, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, those road talks in the car are
But-
just over the
The
top.
shenanigans after the show.
Because there are a lot of comedians, but when you're with the right comedians, where you like what they do on stage, you like them as a person off stage. If you go on a tour with the right kind of guys, it's just pure joy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun on the road.
A lot of fun.
It's just
Like, well,
nonsense the whole time.
I'll be in London Yucks for the weekend, and the 2 other comics that are on the show, we all meet there. Say that the 2 other comics are people I just don't jive with. You spend the whole weekend by yourself.
I'll go anywhere to play, but I will always buy my own accommodations if I have to stay somewhere. That level of intimacy that comedians seem to share. And there's a lot of that in this movie. Guys, is there that much talk about men's genitals and having sex with each other that I saw in this movie? Because there's an inordinate amount of it. And it's funny because that's kind of what Manolis, you were doing with Bob Kerr. We're kind of the same sort of thing these guys were
flirting.
doing with each other.
There's
Flirting.
a lot of like hetero male flirting.
It's weird. Why
Why do I need to tell him to close your door? You trying to heat Stony Creek? What the hell's going on? Like it's not my house. I don't need to say any of that. he leaves telling me to go after
It was
myself.
a graphic way you said it.
I know. That's what I mean. It's so ridiculous. Why am I so angry about
door's
your heat bill? And I guarantee you, he's thinking about it right now, going, "What an idiot."
Supposedly, the difference between humor and tragedy is time. Is modern humor eroding that distance between humor and the tragedy? I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. When they had that, what was it, Titan submersible that blew up?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was on a show, it was somebody's birthday show, and I went to do 5 minutes, and they had about 15 comedians there. And I think I was the only one who did not
Didn't do a
make a
joke
joke
about it.
about the submersible.
Well, that's the one thing that's annoying, especially with social media. It's like as soon as anything happens, every comedian and their mom is making the same joke on Facebook and stuff.
About like when the submarine exploded.
Yeah, but just when anything happens, like,
Yeah.
there's just everyone's doing the same joke.
Honestly, I don't like it. Maybe I'd have too much empathy, but I think
Too
those.
soon.
What? Too soon? Well, it's like those. Was it 4 people or 5 people in that?
Something like that, yeah.
They all have mothers, fathers, family. They're like grieving. They don't need to hear.
Yeah, the whole internet. That's
Like
and
they're like we're talking about like they don't matter.
yeah, and I think that's why comics are getting away with cracking jokes on stage so soon is because by the time they get on stage to do the joke, everybody's seen 50 jokes on their phones
about it.
So like it's not like, oh my God, that happened 3 days ago and this comedian told that joke. It's like, no, like an hour after it happened, my phone was exploding with jokes about it. So
is there a disconnect?
They're like desensitized.
Is there a disconnect between all this sort of stuff and the fact that people don't want us to do that sort of stuff? I remember when Gilbert Gottfried, after 9/11, made the joke about going to catch a plane up at the Empire State Building or something like that.
What did he
Affleck.
exactly?
He lost the Affleck thing, I thought, because of the New Orleans flood or something.
He made an inappropriate joke, I guess
He
they
said
considered
something
it.
about, he's like, the thing about women from New Orleans is there's always another one floating by or something like that.
Yeah. I thought it was about 7/11. Yeah, the 7/11 bird.
Never forget
Two
7-Eleven.
digits can get you in so much trouble.
There's also something I think that comedians bring to the table in that it opens up a conversation which can lead to the healing of traumatic events at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scraping for an immediate example, but I can see there's many moments of that. It helps me find a resolve for that.
I think that comes down to skill and stuff too. Like if the right comic crafts it correctly and presents it correctly, like it can still be maybe too soon, but funny. But
Norm Macdonald.
yeah,
That's a good point. If you're going to be crude about it rather than clever, you're going to be chastised.
just because like if some douchey guy that's been doing stand up for 5 months goes up and tells a hack joke about something that just a tragedy that just happened, it will probably not land and it's probably not funny and it's just for the sake of being shocking or something. But I think in some scenarios, the fact that it's shocking is kind of what makes it funny. If it's pulled off correctly, it's like it's funny because like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. That happened yesterday.
Right. No matter how bad the joke is, maybe, I don't think it's worth making such a big deal of it. Pulling whatever they pulled from, what was his name?
Gilbert Gottfried.
He didn't kill Jesus, dude. Like it was
Yeah, he
just
made a
like-
bad joke.
Maybe it was just a dumb joke. What's his legacy? Was he hurting people?
Well,
like,
and
yeah, I mean,
actually, to that point, his legacy was like at that point he was most known for his roast jokes and being crude and vulgar.
Yeah.
Like that was his brand.
He will go- he will go-
wasn't off brand by making
he
that
will
joke.
go where other people do not go.
what's the other guy that did all the roast? Bald guy, Nick.
Don Rickles?
Yeah, like if Don Rickles does any kind of joke, are we supposed to be shocked?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's maybe how as a comedian, how you frame the joke. Rickles comes out going to be outrageous. You know that coming in. The fact that he did it to people like Frank Sinatra, all the celebrities at the top, he will make fun of them. If you're the president, he will make fun of you. So when he comes around,
But I mean, there was a time where he was doing that, but he wasn't known. So like, there were times where people were like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" It's just stupid to be upset.
is there anything you can't talk about as a comedian?
The one topic that I don't like people making jokes about is, and it seems like every new comic seems to have one now, is like child molestation jokes.
Yeah.
I think that's a line that's like very dangerous to cross, and it's like it's stupid and it's insensitive. But that being said, there are probably good child molestation jokes. like someone like Louis can pull it off. Like, I see so many guys on amateur night and open mic that just do these lame hack, just like these easy, stupid.
I heard Larry Smith say this. He says when you're going after like an audience or a base of people, go after the things they chose, not the things they didn't choose, like disabilities and molestation. They didn't choose that, but they chose their hair. They chose a stupid pop culture trend to iconicize themselves over. I think those are easier to make jokes about, but I think things that people don't have choices per se, or I think you have to be a craftsman to better do that.
I have heard people say, like, for instance, if you were in a wheelchair, if you make a wheelchair joke sometimes, they will appreciate it because they are treated with such white gloves that nobody makes jokes about them, but you're having a good time with them, not insulting them, basically.
I'm just more comfortable if people stick to like adult molestation jokes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear about the children.
No, again, anything that happens bad to children. And, that's such an individual thing. And I think it's informed by what's happened to you in your life. There's people out there, if they've had lost a member through self-harm, and then somebody goes out there and makes a joke about self-harm, it's going to be disturbing to them.
Sure,
We all carry our own little things, our own little triggers.
Yeah, being a parent, it's harder to hear those things. Like I think my opinion obviously probably changed when I became a father, but But even then, again, I can like, if it's pulled off properly, like I can't think of a specific example, but I know I've heard one where I'm like, okay, that's funny, and they're clearly joking.
I think a
But
lot of
there's
people
some
don't.
people that
They don't have the facility to go. Yeah, this is pushing my trigger, but it's not pushing everybody's. I have to accept that this is okay. I just don't have to laugh.
yeah.
But that ain't going to happen. So, you know what? We just spent a hell of a lot of time talking about the business, which I thought was going to happen, and very little about the movie. Is it a good movie at the end of the day? Do you think it's worth watching today?
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What movie?
What movie are you talking about? Jurassic Park?
It was either Fast Times or Modern People, Funny People.
I say so, but I think comics will enjoy it more. Like if there's any comics listening that haven't seen it, I would recommend watching it. I resonated with it a lot. I can't remember if it was before or after I started touring with Tom Green, but that dynamic for me and him, because like I was basically the
Oh
Seth
my God,
Rogen.
it's like exactly the same.
Yeah, I was this new comic who ended up touring with this guy who was in movies when I was growing up. And
All of a sudden, your stock goes up.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was just like all the
And here you
experiences
are
I had
today,
and
working in
stuff.
Hamilton,
Yeah,
Ontario.
Jimmy's living room doing a podcast. There were so many similarities to that,
Yeah.
to what I was experiencing in that movie. So like, I think I maybe resonate with that a little more. But I like it. I think people should watch it.
I think people who are going to go into the business should watch it first to find out what it's really like.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's a really good movie. I think especially if you're started doing comedy or if you're thinking about it, I would watch it. The one thing we were talking about earlier about when there's that jealousy thing between the comics happening.
Oh, God.
I think that there was a time where if someone got something, whether they were your friend or not your friend, you'd still be a little jealous. And then as you realize, like, that's just not a good feeling. And you try to figure out how to get around it. And somehow you do. I do anyways. And I like that I live in this world now where, like, no matter who gets what, I'm cool with it. And especially if it's a friend, if someone I like, I'm actually happy.
One of the things I learned early on in life, and particularly reinforced in comedy, is that you don't measure yourself against other people. You measure yourself against yourself. And
Right.
I see comics all the time, and I go, wow, I could never do that. I could never do what you do on stage, or Larry Smith. I'm a really good Jimmy England, but I'd be a lousy Manola Santana.
I barely like doing this.
He's barely a good.
I'm a horrible Manola Santana.
I have a question, a movie recommendation for comedians. Now, I haven't seen Funny People, but I will watch it. What about Comedian with Seinfeld and Orny Adams?
was
That's
good.
a documentary, but a movie compared to Funny People. Would you recommend or say one is better than another for an up-and-coming
Well,
comic?
that's funny because like when Manolis and I first became friends, you gave me that movie,
Which movie are we
Yeah.
talking about?
Comedian.
Comedians?
Seinfeld, yeah.
Oh, I gave it to you as a gift, I think.
You were like you should watch this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a polite way of saying you stink.
Hey, you need to brush
No,
up
but
your
he was
craft.
like, this is really interesting. And I thought it was cool for the same reason. It's hard to imagine how non-comedians would watch these movies, like, and what they're thinking when they're watching it. Because, like, as a comic, you're like, oh yeah, you can relate and get in their headspace. Oh, that's interesting. They did that. But I'm curious what people that aren't comic would watch comedian and what they get out of watching it. But
Yeah.
I would recommend comics to watch it for sure.
Yeah, every comedian should watch Comedian.
I'll have to watch that. I haven't seen it. I have to say, and this is interesting because we're talking about the business. And Patrick, you and I think, are both a little bit autistic because we socially talk and we both are very awkward with each other. Then all of a sudden this happens and you open up and you were fluent. Because
I'm awkward as I was going to swear again. I'm really awkward one-on-one.
I don't go to weddings. I used to go to. I hate them because I'm the guy sitting by the potted plant
Yeah.
at the back, trying desperately
I
not to
hate
do
one-on-one.
anything.
I'm awkward by myself. Forget about other people.
There's some people that almost match my energy to a T. We're the exact same amount of awkward. I'm so uncomfortable when I'm talking to them. Like, I want to shoot myself in the head while I'm talking to them.
Thankfully, they're dead.
Yeah, they killed themselves first, so that's good.
Anyways, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and who knows, we may actually talk about the movie. We'll be joined by Chris Wagner to talk about 1994's True Lies. Now, here's something I bet you didn't know. True Lies became the first movie to ever have this. Do you know what it is? Here's a hint. It happens all the time now. As of a couple episodes ago, we now have a new email address in case you want to contact us. This is one that actually works, so we won't unintentionally ghost you. You can contact us at balconypodcast@icloud.com. Balcony Podcast is all one word. You also can contact us on Facebook. Look for the microphone against the red background. A big thank you to Manolis and Patrick for doing this. This episode won't be coming out until February, but do you guys have someplace that people can go and see what you're doing or where you're playing or what's happening at Levity? Let's start off with you, Patrick.
Yeah, just go to levitycomedyclub.com. Find it. We have shows booked until March, so whenever this comes out, there's probably shows on our website. Yeah, just levitycomedyclub.com.
Manolis, what about you? What if somebody wants to see you? Because you're worth seeing, man.
I have nothing going on, bud. I literally have nothing. I have
Are you at least going to be celebrating Christmas this year? Or
well, I don't even know if I'm working New Year's. I don't even know anything. Like I have albums on Spotify. So I have 3 albums on Spotify. I got a new special Patrick's actually editing for me that's going to be called Growing Up Greek, and hopefully I might be able to get that on some channels apparently through a friend of mine. I'm hoping something good happens, in my life, dude. I don't know.
Christian, do you have anything besides despair that Manolis is sharing with
I'm always at Levity on Wednesdays working on material.
For the longest time, we couldn't figure out why that was.
You might find me in the back of the room at Levity, or if you're looking for me at The Judge in Hamilton, Laugh at the Judge. Find me at Christian Reimer on most socials. That's Christian with a K, Reimer. That's all for now.
Maybe we'll start UFCC again in the new year.
Maybe if you're listening to this, there might be UFCC happening at Levity Comedy Club and Lounge. That's Canada's best and greatest comedy club.
Yes, it is. Very quick, what is UFCC? Because it's really good that you say that. And if you know what it is, it's terrific. I personally have no idea what you're talking about.
So Christian started this... Well, you explain it.
It's a comedy cage match. It's the ultimate funny championship of comedy where we pin 2 comics in an octagon. There's a referee and they throw down the gauntlet for a challenge to face off who is best comic. It's led up to a championship format, and we look forward to bringing it to this 2025. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's an actual, he built an octagon or a halftagon because it goes against the wall on stage. It's crazy. There's a ref.
This actually looks absolutely terrifying.
There's a ring girl. It's full on. We were live streaming it, 3 multi-camera broadcasts.
Yeah. It looked Hollywood.
It's like a crazier Kill Tony, if that makes sense. Yeah. And Kill Tony's crazy.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Just so you know, too, if you're listening, if you're hearing the word Levity, it's in Jackson Square, downtown Hamilton, above Anchor Bar.
Yeah, we don't usually get into business of doing so much promotion for somebody else, but it is actually one of the best clubs in Hamilton and in the region, I would say. Tremendous audiences, and you have pros show up trying out new material, and talented amateurs and whatnot.
There's not a bad night at Levity.
There we go. Summed up nicely by Christian.
Thank you.
And as for me, I'm going to take my pulse and get an electrocardiogram, and if it comes out okay, I'll be here next time when we go back to the balcony. Stay safe, everybody.